Are you a married woman, but you feel like you are giving up too much of yourself in your marriage? Well, this video is for you. So stick around, and then we'll be talking about all things sacrifice and marriage. So let me just start by saying this thing that, marriage is about love and sacrifice, yes, but it is actually a journey. That's what marriage is. Marriage is a journey of forever growth and forever selflessness, okay? But it should not cost you everything. You have to keep that in mind if you are a married woman or if you are planning to get married. Understand that one thing. Your marriage should not cost you everything. Yes, it is sacrifice, but you should not have to give up your entire self because of your marriage. Now let's get into something. Let's talk about sacrifice in marriage. First of all, you should not have to lose yourself, okay? And you should be able to make choices in your marriage. Choices that you and your husband are making that benefit both of you. So if you're in a marriage and the choices both of you are making are not benefiting both of you, then it's time to have a good sit down and begin to discuss and figure out where exactly in our marriage are we having issues. You should be able to pinpoint that. But if you don't do a sit down discussion, then you're not going to be able to pinpoint anything. You're not going to be able to resolve anything because you cannot figure out what the problem is. Okay. Let me just give you an example. For instance, when both of you are compromising on decisions, it cannot be one-sided. It's not like the one is compromising and the other one is not when it comes to decision making. Both of you have to be adjusting your personal desires for the greater good. Okay? That means that marriage cannot be a selfish game. You cannot come into marriage as a woman thinking that you get all the good stuff. Okay? You are on the receiving end of all things good, wonderful, lovely in a marriage. No, it doesn't work that way. Your marriage is not going to survive. Marriage has to be adjusting your personal desires. He's adjusting his personal desires, and so are you, for the greater good of the marriage, for the marriage to grow and for it to be healthy and positive. If you're not doing that, if you're only focusing on your own desires, your own personal goals, your own personal decisions, your own personal desires and stuff, it will not work. Okay, that's what I mean by marriage is a sacrifice. You and the man are supposed to be sacrificing. Will your sacrifices look different? Yes, because he's a man and you're a woman. So your sacrifices will look different, but they have to weigh the same. They will be the same. They'll look different and you will accomplish them in different ways, but they will weigh the same. Okay. And another thing is that you have to look at the reality. What is the reality here of marriage? The reality of marriage is you won't always get what you want out of your marriage. However, you will always get what you need if you do your marriage the right way. You and your husband doing the marriage the right way. Remember, your wants and your needs are two separate things. Okay, so the things that you want and the things that you need are two different things. You have to be able to establish what are the needs of my marriage. What do I want my marriage to look like? Okay, what does it need? What do I need to do in order for my marriage to look a certain way? You and your husband have to establish that. You cannot establish that on your own. If you do, then you will be working towards your marriage by yourself. So these, marriage is two people coming together. Marriage is not a solo thing. It's not an independent thing. I keep saying this over and over again in my videos. You can't do marriage on an independent scale. Yes, you are an individual and your husband is an individual, but two individuals are coming together. together. That's why there has to be sacrifice involved. If you were living on your own and if you were single and not married, you're most likely not sacrificing anything for somebody else, because remember, you are single. However, if you are in a committed relationship or if you're in a marriage, yes, you're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to give up the I and the me for the us and the we. You're going to have to do that. If you know you are too selfish for that, please don't get married. Marriage is not for you, and you are not for marriage. Go on about your single life and leave marriage for those who are willing and ready and are equipped to do marriage the right way. Okay, you will save yourself and society a whole lot of trouble if you just stay single, if you know marriage is not for you, if you are too selfish to care about somebody else other than yourself, in this case marriage. So remember now, you know, in marriage, you don't always get what you want, but you're going to always get what you need if you do the marriage correctly. And you have to understand that there's a difference between your personal wants and your relationship wants. Okay, this is something that a lot of people don't talk about. Your personal wants and your relationship wants are two separate things. You have to discuss with your husband how you're going to work all of that stuff together, how to navigate disappointments in a healthy way, how to work out your personal wants and your relationship wants. Because remember, the number one goal in your marriage is to do things for the greater good of the marriage, not to do things for you personally, but to do the things that require you to keep your marriage. The goal of the marriage is oneness, to keep that in mind. If you evaluate your actions and your actions are geared towards just your own personal desires all the time, your marriage is going to tank. It will not work. You have to figure out, how can I tweak my actions so that I'm doing things for the greater good of the marriage, because that's what the man is going to be doing as well. Remember, you do not want to give up yourself, because give up too much of yourself in your marriage and not feel appreciated or not get it back in return. Okay, because the things that you're going to be doing in your marriage require reciprocity. It's a give and it's a take. It's a give and it's a take, or it's a give and a receive. You're giving and you're receiving. He is giving and he is receiving. If you are in a marriage where there is no reciprocity, you're going to have some major conversations with your husband, because your marriage cannot continue. Your marriage can't work. It cannot flourish if there is no give and receive, or give and take. Okay, so now what does a healthy sacrifice look like? Healthy sacrifice, first of all, it looks like compromise. Both of you compromising in your own individual way for the greater good. That's number one. Number two, healthy sacrifice looks like acts of love. You are performing acts of love for him. To him, he's performing them right back to you. Another healthy sacrifice is teamwork. Both of you are working together. Remember, both of you might not necessarily be doing the same things to make the marriage work, but you're working towards the one goal. It's the one goal. You can't have separate personal goals here. You have to have the one goal for the marriage. Remember, there are personal goals and there are relationship or marriage goals, but you're working for the greater good of your marriage. Always keep that in mind, because if you can keep that in mind, then your actions are going to flow in order to do the things that will help your marriage grow, and there will be less fighting, there will be less squabble between both of you, there'll be less shouting, screaming, hollering, and yelling. Okay, another way that healthy sacrifice in marriage shows up is supporting each other's dreams. You have to be able to support each other's dreams. This is where your personal wants come into play. Because yes, remember, you're an individual, even though you're married. So you do have your own personal wants. Your husband has his personal wants. But both of you have to figure out how to support those through mutual growth. How do you do that? It can sometimes look like maybe he has to take a step back in order for you to pursue this one thing that you're pursuing. Remember, your personal goals that you're pursuing eventually has to come back and benefit the marriage. If your personal goals and wants and dreams and desires do not come back to benefit the marriage, if it only benefits you, then there's a big problem. That means that you're stepping outside of what your marriage should be operating from. And, if he takes a step back to let you pursue your personal, wants and desires, then that means that when you're done pursuing yours, you're going to take a step back for him to pursue his. Listen, there are many examples of how both of you can support each other's dreams. I'm just giving you one example of the many. So I'm pretty sure that you have other ways that you can support each other's dreams. This is just one out of many. Okay. So I'm just, it's just to keep in mind what that can actually look like, what healthy sacrifice looks like. Now, what does unhealthy sacrifice look like? I'll tell you what. Unhealthy sacrifice looks like you're constantly giving. Ladies, listen carefully. You are constantly giving into your marriage, but there is no reciprocity. That is unhealthy. And of course, if that continues down the line, you are going to feel stuck. You're going to feel like marriage is a scam. You're going to feel like marriage is slavery, which it really isn't. It just depends on how you are perceiving marriage and how you are working towards your marriage. So remember, if you find yourself giving and giving and giving, and you're giving up too much without reciprocity, you have to pause. Okay? Put your giving on pause and sit down and discuss with your husband. You should always be discussing. You should know when to sit down and discuss. Okay? Don't just keep sacrificing in silence. You're going to eventually build resentment for your husband, and that is not a goal that you have for your marriage. So you have to be responsible for how you show up in your marriage instead of blaming the man. If you're giving up too much and you're not receiving anything, instead of blaming him, stop and say, I didn't take the responsibility to sit down and tell him, hey, listen, this is what's going on. I feel like I'm doing all these things, but I feel also like I'm not getting reciprocity at the end of the day. You have to be able to take responsibility to bring those type of discussions up, and both of you discuss them in an amicable manner. It has to be respectful when you are discussing. You see how these things go? Yes, marriage is work. If you're sitting here saying, well, good grief, marriage is a lot. Yes, it is. That's why not every woman is marriage material. Because not every woman has been trained and raised to operate this way. And it's okay. That means marriage is not for you. And if you don't want to learn, if you want to get married and you don't want to learn how these things go, then stay single. Stay yourself single, okay? And don't even be bothering people out here in these marriage streets, okay? Another way that marriage, sacrifice in marriage looks unhealthy is you lose your identity. Ladies, you are fond of this. A lot of you are fond of this. I'm unhappy. Well, one thing is you don't take care of yourself. Okay? You just in a constant emotional depletion. You're emotionally depleting yourself because you have lost your identity in your marriage. You are not independent in your marriage, but you are an individual. So don't lose your identity. You have to do things to, promote your identity in your marriage. The things that you're going to be doing, they have to be within the confines of the marriage vows that you took on your wedding day. Don't misquote me and say, oh, she said do anything. No, I'm not saying do anything. I'm saying choose the right actions within your marriage vows. Okay? You know the marriage vows you took on your wedding day. Do things within your marriage vows to promote and boost your identity while you are married. Otherwise, you're going to be in a constant emotional depletion. You're going to feel defeated and you're going to resent your husband. So ladies, let me give you some practical tips that you can use to balance out your marriage. Now, here, listen to this very carefully. You're going to have to communicate your needs, your expectations, and your non-negotiables with your husband. If you are not good with communication or effective communication, then you're going to have to put yourself in training, because I don't know how your marriage is going to succeed and flourish in a positive way if you are not communicating effectively. Okay? You have to let that man know. He's not a mind reader, so you do have to let him know. Another thing is you have to find joy, honestly, in giving rather than receiving. I know as women, we want to be like, oh, the man has to do this, the man has to do that, the man has to do this, the man has to do all these things, and we're just going to sit and look pretty. Marriage does not work that way successfully. You may see marriages being like that, on these social media streets. I get that, but what I'm trying to say is it won't be successful. Sorry, it will not be successful if you just sit, look pretty, and do nothing, and the man does everything. All you're doing is receiving, and he's giving. It's the same way if you reverse it. He can't just sit there and do nothing, and you're just giving, and and you're not receiving. So you have to find joy also in giving, because women are natural receivers. We typically don't have to be taught how to receive, but we have to be taught how to give correctly and in the right way, and find joy in giving. Okay? Another thing is you have to just be that individual fulfillment. You have to be able to keep that going. Find things to do, if it's hobbies, goals, self-care, whatever the case may be. You have to be able to do that, okay, in order for you to be a very great spouse. And because your husband is most likely doing that too. So you have to do it. You have to make sure that you don't lose yourself and you don't give up too much and give up everything in your marriage without receiving in the end. Drop down in the comment section, ladies. Let's discuss this topic, and be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and also subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe so that you can get more of this valuable content, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.